This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. Let's talk about that. I've got some quotes here. I know we're short on time, so I'm going to try to run through this. By the way, I want to give a shout out. We had hundreds of questions. There's no way we'll get to do it today. We're going to try to do some on ad-free shows later. I'm already keeping Bruce way later. He's missing a meeting to do this, so we got to hustle. But Michaels addressed this whole fiasco during a Q&A in England a few years ago. He says, quote, "We were going to do a best of 3, and in the last minute, he backed out. So that day, I'll admit this, I poked the bear all day. I already knew what I was going to do. I was going to go out there and do business, but I was going to make him earn it and just be a pain in his butt all day. And that was something I did for my own enjoyment. It wasn't right. It wasn't professional." The next year, Hogan had this to say about the match. "If you really go behind the scenes on the Shawn Michaels thing, I just sat back. I mean, this is Vince's show, Vince's thing. When we went to the dressing room, Vince came in and said, 'Okay, I want Hogan to go over.' No big deal. Those are Vince's wishes. If he had told me to take the super kick and do the 1, 2, 3, even though nobody says I've ever done a job. If you go back and look at my career, I've pretty much lost more matches than I've won trying to get guys over, from Triple H to The Undertaker to The Rock, you name it. I don't win too many matches, but it's business. I'm trying to help these guys. So when Vince wanted Shawn to do the job, we went out there and had a match, and everybody said, 'Oh, Shawn oversold. He was making fun of you.' If Shawn was really doing that, you have to ask him, because I'd have to go take the turnbuckle. He jumps on the bottom rope and does a triple flip, which, okay, whatever. But he's done it several times, not just with me. And the reason that we didn't go longer was because I shut it down. The next day I was expecting to, return the favor. And then, okay, now you beat me up and I beat you. Let's build to a third match and keep the cage match and keep it going." But he was such a great worker. I thought we were going to have a great run. Could be my fault. It could be my feelings were too much involved, but I thought the interview was going to be, I got to give a Hogan. He was better than me on that one night, but it'll never happen again. I was quicker and faster than him, but he just had that moment. He had the crowd with him. He had the momentum, but it'll never happen again. I'm asking you, Hogan, for another match. And I thought that's how we were going to do the business in this interview. But when he came out and said, "Oh, he was too fast. He was too young," I went, "I'm out. I just told Vince, your boy, it's not business." So I pulled the plug on that deal, and that's where we ended up. It wasn't a creative control thing. I said, I don't want to go on if this is going to be a clown show from this point on. I thought if this guy really wanted to dig in and draw some money. And on the Shawn Michaels DVD, he says, "In my mind, I presented to him as just good guy versus good guy." And the thing where HBK was just like, "Man, I got to know if I can beat the immortal Hulk Hogan." And then the next week, we find out it's classic babyface, heel versus Hogan, quote, "like you're in 1998. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. I'd tear him up. I'd go out there on that mic and I would tear him to shreds. Give us that then. That's what we want. So I just thought, you got to be kidding me. Are you sure he's okay with that? And Vince told me, Terry's business. And I asked him beforehand, are you sure he's okay with it? And Vince reiterated, Terry's business. So when I see Hogan the next week, I asked him, are you okay with all this? And he says, no problem, brother. And I got news for you. If he denies it, I'll tell it to his face. I asked you before. I asked you every time. And work with me, brother. And I'm like, wow, some of the most successful people in this business are insecure. So there's two sides here. And I guess that's the old famous thing we break down on this podcast. The he said, she said, the my side, your side, and the truth somewhere in the middle, or whatever. Where do you land on this? Do you remember Hogan being the one that pulled the plug after the Shawn promo the night after on Raw? Or is it more of what Shawn is saying here, that Hogan's just insecure?
They're both right. They're both right. As far as Hulk pulling the plug, Vince pulled the plug. And Vince was unsure even before the match if he wanted any more matches. It was Vince's call. And Shawn did run everything by Hulk. And Shawn was very concerned about the shoot stuff with Hulk and did ask every fucking time he did it. Make sure that it's okay. Are we good? And goddamn, do you really want me to go that far? And the answer always was, yes, yes. And everybody did agree to it. And then I just think that it got into feelings were hurt. And he said, she said, and it turned into what it turned into. But yeah, they're both right, and it's a combination of all of the above. But they basically worked themselves into a shoot. I would have loved to have gotten 3 out of it, and I don't know what I would have done in the third match. I probably would have somehow thrown it out or ended up with them as a team. Who the hell knows? But regardless of that, the lead up to everything and where we got to, it just, yeah, could have been different. Could have been different.
Man, I got to tell you, I was disappointed in the match only because I felt like the bar had been set so high by Hogan Rock at WrestleMania 18. And no disrespect to The Rock, we know one of the greatest sports entertainers of all time. But when it came time for the bell to ring, as you like to say, I don't know that there were many ever better than Shawn Michaels. So when I see that and I see what Rock and Hogan were able to accomplish, it just feels so much bigger and better than what Shawn and Hogan did. And Shawn and Hogan certainly was a memorable match, and I'm not arguing that, but it doesn't feel like it had near the magic. And I can't help but wonder how much of that is just ego, you know?
I think a lot of it is on everybody's part. So it just, it boils down to you're dealing with human beings and feelings get hurt. That's hard to stop sometimes. It's hard to turn it on and off.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.